everybody, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Philadelphia Sports, where, as you might have guessed it, we go over everything that's happened this week in Philadelphia sports. Again, if you are new to this channel, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch our content. We are drafting you, yes you, with the 21st overall pick, and all we need you to do is catch that deep subscribe touchdown. We are going to throw deep passes your way all day long, and all we need you to do is catch that subscribe button, join the family, and let's have some fun this offseason. There are still 66% of you who watch our content that aren't subscribed to the channel, and unless you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, there is no excuse, unless you hate the voice, in which case, perfectly valid, alright? I don't blame you. But seriously though, guys, I hope you are all keeping safe through the current coronavirus epidemic. Unfortunately, it's why we're back in the old stomping grounds today. There's no green screen, there's no PSN office for the time being. I'm self-isolating at home, which means the wall of blue doom and gloom has returned for a few weeks, unfortunately. And also, before we dive into anything, just a massive thank you as well. We hit 10 million views on our website, phillysportsnetwork.com, which was a monumental achievement. There's a big 8-minute soppy video just thanking you for your support, which probably went under a lot of the radars. But in case you missed it, here's just a little snippet from that video to say thank you.
Absolutely unbelievable. Thank you so much.
I want to say thank you so much for 10 million views.
Everybody, big shout out for helping us reach 10 million viewers on Philly Sports Network.
I just want to say thank you for getting us to 10 million views.
Like 10 million views is just something I never ever thought I'd associate with Philly Sports Network.
This is Tim from the PSN Union team here. Just want to say congrats to everyone on the 10 million views.
We hit 10 million views. I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone who's ever taken the time to read, listen, comment. I've only been here a couple months with the Philly Sports Network team.
So 10 million views. Huge shout out to our founder and editor, Lesean Jenkins.
We hit 10 million views.
It's just a blessing. So just thank you so much for believing in PSN, for believing in me. And here's to 10 million more. Also, you may remember we were doing a giveaway for 3 pieces of Philly Sports Network merchandise by doing a quiz. And so many of you guys entered, it was unbelievable. So thank you for your entries. We've picked out 3 random winners, and they are Grayson Griffiths, Jamari Stevens, and Pastor Acosta. So if you guys could get in contact with me, my Twitter at Liam Jenkins PSN, or just drop a comment down below, we'll organise getting you guys a free t-shirt. But after a chaotic first week of free agency for the Philadelphia Eagles, things settled down a fair bit in week number 2. They went out and signed cornerback Nicole Roby-Coleman to a 1-year deal, a prove-it contract for a 5'8" cornerback who's going to be competing with Cravon LeBlanc for a slot position. Now, who's going to win? Who's got the upper hand? I don't know, but he started 7 games in 2019, seemed to be a relatively good fit for what the Eagles are after, and has been one of the more underrated slot corners for quite some time, purely I think because he's linked with, well, that play against the New Orleans Saints. But in 3 seasons, he has 122 tackles, 3 forced fumbles, 3 picks, and 20 passes defense. So he himself and Cravon LeBlanc sort of share those slot responsibilities. Maybe we are going for a positionless defensive backfield. I don't know, but I'm all for it. I think it's going to create a lot of camp competition. LeBlanc obviously got his contract extended while injured towards the beginning of last season. This is going to be a real gulag fight between the two of them. And in the last 2 years, Roby-Coleman has only allowed 66% of passes to be completed. In 7 years, he's missed 1 game. He's played in 111 of 112 games. So if you want durability, if you want to find someone that's stable and is finally maybe going to rid the defensive backfield of whatever injury cereal they've been eating for breakfast, then I feel like Nicole Roby-Coleman is probably, at the very least, a very good insurance policy. At the very highest ceiling, probably a very solid foundation for a nickel cornerback. But perhaps more prominently this week, Howie Roseman sat down, had a one-on-one with Dave Spadaro on FaceTime, discuss all things Philadelphia Eagles, NFL draft, and the offseason so far. And of course, in Howie's own words, there was an elephant in the room. And it wasn't the fact that Howie wasn't in a suit for the first time, just chilling, flexing some AirPods on us. It was, in fact, Alshon Jeffery. And this is what he had to say.
When we talk about Alshon, some things that people don't get to see that we get to see on a daily basis is this guy wants to win world championships in Philly. You know, he has told me on many occasions, including recently, how much he wants to win for our fans, for our city. He has those same conversations with other people in the building. You know, it is important for him to be a Philadelphia Eagle and to work hard. And he understands where people feel about him right now, and he's not sitting there feeling sorry for himself. He's sitting there trying to work to remind people about the kind of player that he's been for our football team. And, the priority for Alshon is to get healthy. He needs to get healthy. And I think that, just talking to our PR staff and hearing the narrative of Alshon's a good player. And I think that we lose sight of that a little bit, and the things that he can do when he's healthy, the toughness that he's shown to try to bring a championship to our city, which he helped, obviously, tremendously, and to have another.
But why is Howie Roseman doubling down on Alshon Jeffery? I've got a theory. Now, it could be taken very literally in the way that the Eagles just need him to get healthy to trade him, or it could be taken in a way that says, hey, Alshon's not going anywhere, he's realised what he's done, he's moving on from it now, and he's going to be a part of the Eagles offence moving forward. Again, depending on where you sit on this whole Alshon Jeffery debate, you're either going to be relatively excited or relatively concerned or even a little bit annoyed, and I fully understand every type of reaction, but I genuinely think that it's some sort of master plan here, because moving on from Alshon Jeffery right now is very problematic. It's sort of like expecting me with these tremendous muscles to pick up any kind of remotely heavy object and move it into a car. It's just not happening, and it's gonna look a bit embarrassing for the party carrying the item. But if Howie Roseman is very clever, and there was an intervention between players around this whole anonymous source thing, and Alshon Jeffery was pulled up, presuming it was him after all, he may have had a change of heart and go, actually, you know what? I acted up, I was out of line, let me prove myself. Like, you've guaranteed my salary, let me prove myself in 2020 and earn another contract, or earn a revamped deal, or earn a spot elsewhere. You give him that shot at redemption, this very much becomes the world's most expensive prove-it contract. But then a very JJ Arthega-Whiteside apple fell from the tree and hit me in the head, because then I realised something, that maybe, just maybe, the Eagles knew that JJ Arthega-Whiteside was going to struggle. Maybe that's why he sat out his rookie season. Essentially, yes, I know he had 19 targets, but let's be real here. The Eagles were desperate for wide receiver help that year and would rather call up your local milkman as opposed to give J-Jaw a shot. Arthega-Whiteside was very raw during his rookie season. There's going to be a film room on this, but there were plenty of ups and downs. His ball tracking was great, but apart from that, it was pretty dismal. And then there was a whole having to learn the playbook from every spot on the field saga, which I still have about as much understanding about as the game of rugby. What if keeping Alshon Jeffery one more year allows the Eagles and recently signed wide receivers coach Aaron Moorhead the flexibility to work with Arthega-Whiteside to iron out those flaws, to work out those kinks and prepare him to take over, very much in a slightly delayed Andre Dillard, Jason Peters scenario. That's how the Eagles build. They build through the draft, they have free agents manning up those points until such a time as the young talent can take on the baton that's being passed down to them. Now, a second redshirt year for Arthega-Whiteside would be upsetting for many, to say the least, but if the Eagles do go out and draft, let's say, a Henry Ruggs or a Justin Jefferson or a KJ Hamler, someone to ease the pressure while Deshaun Jackson's still there, then you're not really going to rely on him that much anyway. He would just be a role player so long as Jeffrey's around. So you keep Jeffery around with the incentive that he goes out, balls out, posts another 800-yard season, because that's apparently all he does, allowing Arthega-Whiteside to develop. Then you've got a 31-year-old wide receiver with a cheaper cap hit who doesn't have locker room concerns anymore, who doesn't have injury concerns anymore, and has posted a relatively good year, and you can shop that around much easier as opposed to saying, hey, this is my ex-girlfriend Cheryl. You're gonna love Cheryl. She's lovely. I mean, she's beautiful. Also likely to RKO you through a table. May post Facebook status about you indirectly. Is gonna spread lies about you to her friends. And may or may not try and steal your car and lead you to write a very emotional rap album. It just doesn't quite carry the same weight as, hey, this is a bit of a cougar. She's coming off a great year. It's not working out between us, but feel free. Eagles need leverage with Alshon Jeffery. If they trade in this offseason, yes, there's a $15.9 million cap hit as opposed to a $26 million one if they release him, but you're not going to get a team to willingly take on Alshon Jeffery. It's just not going to happen. It's like trying to ask the guy who compared my voice to a NASCAR wheel gun to listen to another one of my videos. He just won't willingly do it. But let's say I hit puberty next month at the age of 25, maybe he'll be a bit more inclined. And that's what the Eagles need. So they keep Alshon Jeffery around a year. They allow JJ Arcega-Whiteside to develop, who then takes over the X spot. By that time, Deshaun Jackson may or may not be ready to pass on the baton to whoever is at WR2, whether it's going to be a Ruggs or someone else. And then in the slot, you'd likely have a starter as well that could be double dipped in the draft. Someone like a Courtney Davis or a Devin Duvernay. I'm a genius, all right? It's a master plan. I don't know what could go wrong. But let me know what you think, guys, down in the comments. What do you think about this Alshon Jeffery scenario? Do you want him on the Eagles? And is he worthy of a fourth chance? Away from theories, though, there are more theories, because now there are apparently trade rumours surrounding Rams receiver Brandin Cooks, and the price is set to be rumouredly a second-round pick. And of course, the second there is a wide receiver with 2 working legs and 2 working hands, Eagles fans clamour to it and say what they would and wouldn't give up, and this has been no exception. Now, Brandin Cooks is a very good receiver, and I promise you, I'm not just saying that because I got that. Look at that, eh? I got that. Bloody Brandin Cooks autograph. That's cool, isn't it? I don't know. That's from 2014, Topps Platinum Football, for anyone that cares about football trading cards. I mean, it stems from a tweet about wanting to be set free, which many people may have misinterpreted a coronavirus self-isolation tweet as wanting a trade. I mean, it seemed a bit weird. Yes, he's coming off a very, very worrying down year, has a history of 5 concussions, but he's contracted to the Rams through 2023, making a trade a bit difficult. It wouldn't make sense for the Rams to cut him because they take on basically a $30 million cap hit. But if the Eagles were to trade for him, he'd only cost $8 million in 2020, 12 in 2021, 13 in 2022, and 14 in 2023. So that would likely probably need to be a restructure there. But I can see why there would at least be interest. He's only 26 years old. He came into the league so young. He's had 6 NFL seasons already, despite being 26. That's Derek Barnett level youth right there. Yeah, he ran a 4.33 40-yard dash time, and that's very evident still on his game tape to this day. And has had over 1,000 yards in 4 of his last 5 seasons. The only 2 receivers that match that kind of production are DeAndre Hopkins and Antonio Brown. And when you consider the free agent market, where Robbie Anderson's getting $10 million a year, Randall Cobb's getting 9, Rashad Perriman's getting 8, you can see a player of that caliber, at that age, at that price, being quite an undercut for Howie Roseman, of course, providing no Roseman-esque restructures. So a lot of the hard work's going to already be done, providing they can get him back up to life. And this isn't new to Brandin Cooks either, who has been traded for first-round picks twice in his career before. So this isn't new. He's used to this scenario. I think he'd probably welcome another fresh start, right? I mean, might as well. But the thing is that although there is an out in his contract after 2021, if you're going to trade a second-round pick for him, you probably want him more than 2 years. And you look at the value of pick number 53, okay? The exact same pick that was used to draft Miles Sanders last year. Yes, Brandin Cooks would fit this Eagles team perfectly. The Rams run a few similar concepts to the Eagles, we know that. And their offense was a total mess last year, meaning they could at least capitalize on a potentially dropped price because the offense was dreadful. But with a wide receiver class this deep, this is why the Eagles stood pat on Robbie Anderson. It's why they stood pat on Rashad Perriman, because you're going to get speedsters in the draft, players who have similar upsides in the NFL draft without having to pay them that monumental cap hit early. We know how rookie contracts are structured, we know how the Eagles like to build this team, and we know from various reports that they want to go in a young receiving core to build around Carson Wentz so that they can grow together in harmony. And although Brandin Cooks does fit that mold somewhat, he does it at a price, and I think the Eagles are going to look elsewhere for that. So although I think it'd be a dreamboat scenario to bring Brandin Cooks to Philly, it wouldn't make sense when there is so much wide receiving potential in this draft available at just a fraction of the cost. And then if you're playing Eagles off-season bingo and you've got your cards alongside you, you can cross off the Lesean McCoy return one, because that happened, and of course Deshaun Jackson's involved as well. Anyone say Jeremy Maclin? Should we bring him back as well? It's really ironic. I understand on one hand that you want to bring back Lesean McCoy, okay? That there is that emotional attachment from fans, that he was disbanded so horribly by Chip Kelly, and that there is almost another page to be turned, another opportunity and a chapter to be finished. But it's weird that in the same breath as fans pining for Roseman and the Eagles to get younger, to stop being attached to players, to make harsher business decisions on guys like Jason Peters, then why would you in that same breath go and bring back Lesean McCoy, who has been nothing but a role player in the last few years. And don't get me wrong, he's an electric back. But you've got Miles Sanders, who is pretty much the exact same prototype of running back, but has got so much more upside, so much more potential. If you're going to go out and get a running back, don't nullify the backfield of Sanders and Scott and put yourself in a pigeonhole box where you've got the same style of back running at you 3 downs. You want to get some variety in there. Someone like a Jordan Howard, someone like a LeGarrette Blount, someone like a Corey Clement. That's what this team needs. A Jay Ajayi, for another example. I don't think that Lesean McCoy is going to be that guy, I'm afraid. So I'm against it, and I will be for every offseason. But that is it, guys, for another episode of This Week in Philadelphia Sports. If you enjoyed the content, it would be great if you could stick around, hit that subscribe button. From myself, Liam Jenkins, you can follow me on Twitter at Liam Jenkins PSN. I'll see you soon.